report. This is what I showed you at the county board. It shows you the elections. Of course, we probably heard, and there was an election on the 5th. And so there's some 16,676 votes cast in Vernon County. That's the new high record.
Wow.
So there you go. We've been busy. We finished our canvass yesterday. So now there were a few minor changes. But all in all, our results are final and into the state.
Like a smooth machine, huh?
Just well-oiled machine.
Just like Illinois.
No, better, but worse. Somewhere in there.
16,676 is a record, you think?
Yeah, I know it is. It's
Cool.
1,500 new registrations on election day. 4,000 people voted absentee.
Is that a record as well?
No, I think the COVID 2020
yeah.
was probably the most, but this is the most we ever had, the demand for that early voting pushing.
Did that cause any problems as far as like someone wanting to show up and vote for a clerk and the voter couldn't get together for a time? Do you know anything?
Well, I mean, there were some people that didn't feel they were being served, but it is up to the clerk ultimately to set that schedule. I suppose the word would be at their convenience. They do have jobs.
Yeah.
So, but I think for the most part, people were, and they could still show up on Tuesday to vote. This wasn't like people are going out of town. I mean, you could always still ask for a mail-in absentee. So there were lots of options. But certainly we weren't prepared for the demand. When I say we, just collectively as clerks, we might look at being better prepared in the next. We'll see if this continues, this push for early voting. Prepared to make the changes necessary to make it better. David.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the clerk? Hearing none, then we will continue with the District 6 correction.
So Monique can back me up on it if there need to be. There's something in your packet. What's really at issue, and it's probably best if I just go over to the map real quick. So the town of Jefferson is right here where the big 6 is, right? Whatever reason, the mapping is still showing that as having 2 wards, but although it's all in 1 ward being significant to county board district. So you see here in Virgin, the 2 different county board districts, it has 2 wards. Same thing for Genoa. Several others have more than 1 ward. Jefferson has 1 ward, but it's still listed as 2. There's some little descriptive issues that we need to fix. To clean that up, that might have to be done by ordinance. So what I would ask of you is that you go ahead and approve allowing us, Monique and I, to get a resolution or ordinance or whatever is needed to the county board to get this fixed in December.
By motion?
By motion, yes, please.
Is there a motion to approve his request?
Is it just an error in the description in the text, or is it a mapping error as well?
It's just a text description.
Yeah.
Monique?
There's also a spatial component. If you go to our Vernon County website and look at the GIS map and you turn on wards, it does show 2 wards. Okay? In the text, it does also say 2 wards. Yeah. But then in the legal description, it only shares a legal description for 1 ward. Okay. So I think it's just a remnant that wasn't removed when there was redistricting.
Exactly. It goes back to the redistricting.
Yeah.
The way the lines got changed. Jefferson, prior to redistricting and prior to dropping down to 19 districts, did have 2 wards.
Gotcha.
Okay, we have a motion from Lauren.
I'll second it.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. County Clerk Office report.
Done. Oh, that's really all I got for you.
Cool. Human Resources.
Quick question.
Yes.
Do we need to have this approved by county board then as well?
We'll take it to the county board.
Okay, so I won't make a move yet until.
You and I will drop whatever needs to be done to go to the county board.
Stay patient then. Okay.
You got the floor.
Okay. First one is the policy for the one-on-one recruitment policy. I did hand out a copy just because HR Generalist Michelle did make a few updates since Cassie put it in the packet. She added a purpose, separated all the definitions, and then added in the the numeric codes to make it match our current policy manual. So it's more just a visual. But this is just a guideline for our department heads to follow when recruiting in their departments. This was presented to the department heads during department head meeting. So they have reviewed it, given their input, and yeah. So just asking for approval to send it to county board for resolution to be approved for our Vernon County Policy Manual.
Wade, make a motion.
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the policy 101.
I'll second it. All in favor, signify by
Can I ask
saying
a
aye.
question before you vote?
Absolutely. Or sorry.
Can I ask a question? But I was just, I remember reading it. I don't remember what it says. It's not like I'm saying I never saw this before. Well, like when there is a recruitment, are you screening out people, or if I ask the department head that I want to see all applicants, would you provide me with all applicants? It doesn't prevent that in here? Thank you. That's
So
my
it's a
question.
collaboration between the department head and your department.
I could see where some department heads may ask you to screen people out, but I'm just curious. Thank you.
Approval of part-time opioid prevention.
Wait, we
You
haven't
didn't
voted.
No, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Oh, same sign. Approval of part-time opioid prevention coordinator.
Yeah, I'll take this one if that's okay with you, Tricia. As you're probably aware, we have an opioid prevention and abatement steering committee. The county has opioid settlement dollars through the National Opioid Settlement. We've had kind of this discombobulated process to how we handle things for that committee. And just in general, where I'm doing some of it, Amy Oliver's doing some of it, Amy Kleiber's doing some of it, Jill's doing some. So we've had some conversations about, wouldn't it be great if we had one person to focus on this for the county? And that is an allowable use of our opioid dollars. And so what we came up with was a part-time program specialist position that would be paid completely with the opioid settlement funds. To the budgetary impact of about $25,000 a year. So you have that job description in front of you. This person would be, in charge of coordinating all the aspects of the program, and coordinating that committee, helping making sure, they're working with our, we have a grant program that we run through that committee. So they would do, that coordination as well. We just feel like it would be a much better process if it was one person handling those duties.
Will make sense.
Yeah. And Mary Henry is on the committee as well. So Mary, if you have anything to add, feel free.
No, I mean, it is a very warranted position and it is paid with the funds. The thing was we needed to get started and we did, and we got matrix and we are giving out funds, but like Cassie said, it's clunky and it's taken away from their other positions in the county, and this person could focus strictly on this. So thank you.
You said about 25 grand.
Yeah.
What is that relative to the amount of money that the committee is handling and distributing?
Yeah, so it depends on the year, and that's a good question. I was going to have that up about our settlement funds. For example, next year, I think we have like $70,000 in the budget, but we've received, to date, we have received $360,000, I believe, but it's pretty small in comparison to the funds that we'll receive, and we'll continue to get the funds.
There's more funds coming. So
Yeah, I was going to see if I could pull it up here.
I'm sitting in your day.
I have. Sorry, I'm usually better prepared here.
Or I haven't ate off it yet.
Can we make this position sunset when the opioid funds are no longer here?
That's the intent. When we no longer, so we've got 378,000 in there. I'd have to get that settlement report. I have it somewhere. I don't have it
Curious.
readily available.
I think it's like 600 to 700,000.
Thank you, Jill.
That's totally to come.
Yeah,
There's still more coming.
we'll continue to
I think
receive it.
Kroger just settled or something too, didn't they, for big money?
Yeah, the Kroger settlement, actually, we brought that
Yeah, we talked about that.
at the board. It's a few months ago because we
Yeah.
had to accept the terms.
Yep.
Yeah. I can, and I'll give an updated next month. I can get that updated figure for you guys too. Make a note.
Any other questions? Motion?
Move to do that, yeah,
Part-time opioid
I move
prevention.
to, approve the part-time opioid settlement prevention coordinator position.
Second.
Sure.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Thank you. Neighborhood Family Clinic Service.
I'm gonna
If you guys are okay, I think we might want to wait until Alice here to discuss this. I would, from her HR background, I think certain things would be important here. Basically, what we want to look at is maybe having a set of services that we provide for our employees through Neighborhood Family Clinic. Right now, we don't really have that. And so what ends up happening is we'll get a phone call from them saying, will you cover a genetic test for $1,500, just so that like these weird, like one-off things.
Okay.
And I think what we'll end up proposing to you is that, we have a budgetary amount and we have X amount of employees that are on our health insurance. So maybe we look at like just a cap per employee. I honestly think that's probably the most fair way to do it. Because I do think it's an excellent program. I don't want to get rid of it at all. I think, it is what's helping keep some of our courts claims down and our health insurance rates down. But I do think we need to have some parameters. And so if you guys are okay with it, I think, we can bring it back next month and have that discussion with Alice.
With that 75,000, how close did we come to, did we exceed that last year or did we come anywhere near close?
Pretty close,
Pretty close, huh?
if I recall.
And we're at 56,000.
correct. That's the last,
As of last month.
yeah. I did not that does not include a bill that I've received for October.
Sounds good. We'll
They're
table
kind of
it.
lagging
Table it?
on. they're lagging on their-
Just postpone and put it off.
Yeah, we'll bring it back next month.
Department report.
You ready for me?
Yes.
Okay. Majority of our time has been spent, as you probably are aware of, the Vernon Manor, Vernon Acres transition over, just being prepared for what that means with separation of employment for all of those employees. That's 110-ish approximately employees that we're just preparing for, all of their benefit coverages no longer be under us, their balances, just all those transitions. It's been a lot of work basically on spend. I did have staff meetings all day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week, informing them, giving them a letter, letting them know that as of December 2nd, they'll no longer be our employee. And that was in conjunction with meetings with BSJ, with doing onboarding. They gave them offer letters, talked about benefits, retirement. So we kind of did it all together. So that was kind of a one-stop shop. I met with every single Vernon Manor employee except 3 that is currently employed. So that was a pretty good turnout in the last 3 days.
Wow.
So yeah, any questions on any of that? Vernon Manor, Vernon Acres before I move on? About that process?
Cassie discussed it, but I think, how did it go? I mean,
It went well.
Okay.
It did. It went very well. I mean, there's a couple that may have had comments, but overall, I think at this point, I think everything has been clearly explained to them. Their process moving forward, I think, is very clear, and they know what their benefits are. They're being given an offer letter, so they know everything is very straightforward in front of them.
Yeah, we had a WRS rep there on Tuesday as well. Answer questions. We gave two
presentations, and then he stayed. He was there before and after each meeting to do like one-on-one, which a lot of people did more of that than actually sitting in the presentation. They just met with him one-on-one and talked to him. So I think that was beneficial. And then just them seeing what was going to be offered to them, because I think that's been the big question,
right.
which we couldn't talk about until we knew that it was official. So now they're seeing what their rate of pay is going to be. They're seeing what the benefits are. They're seeing their vacation. Everything's very clearly outlined now. They will be taking on whatever balance they have of vacation and moving it forward with BSJ. So if I have 20 hours when I leave Vernon County, BSJ is going to start them off with that.
Oh.
because they do have an accrual process different than us. We load in January. They do an accrual based on how many hours that they work in a pay period is how they earn their.
So many minutes an hour type thing.
Correct. Yep.
Nobody took a pay cut.
No. In fact, we were informed. They didn't disclose numbers to me, but they said the majority of staff were actually either maintaining or having an increase.
Dave, Mary Henry has her hand up.
Mary?
How many employees does this affect?
100, what?
I just, like 110 approximately.
Okay.
We've recently had some that have left on their own accord within the last couple of weeks. So my numbers may be a little skewed.
And that's full-time or full-time, part-time?
All of the above. I don't have exact breakout at this moment. I could gather that information very quickly, but I don't have it right now in front of me.
Right. Sounds went better than a lot of people had anticipated. A lot of me.
Yeah, no, I think the process has been pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm. It was nice to be there because I also got to talk to some residents' families that maybe misunderstood the transition. I had someone I spoke to yesterday because a lot of people know who I am, so they stopped to talk anyways, and then they thought it was being bought. And I assured them that wasn't the case, and they're like, "Oh, good to know." So I think it was beneficial just to be there, be present. I think that was good.
We did hold a couple resident and tenant meetings as well, and I know they did another one last night. So, where we addressed some of those things as well.
I've been getting a call from an individual over there that I've been screening it. Because I've been really busy and don't have 2 hours to talk on the phone right now, but I will call her.
Yeah.
When I get settled in here with it.
I think it's a lack of understanding and a lack of knowing, not listening to the rumors and gossip. You know, I think once you actually talk to individuals and explain to them, it makes sense.
Mary, is your hand up again? Yeah.
Yes. How is it going at Vernon Acres? Because I think there was quite a misconception over there.
I met with all of the Vernon Acres employees, and I don't have any issues or concerns as far as the employee part goes. As far as tenant, I do know that they will be having another just specific tenant meeting for Vernon Acres. There hasn't been a date set, but I do know that they're having another meeting. Obviously, all tenants are invited to the resident meetings as well at Vernon Manor, but I think that Kim from BSJ was going to hold a specific tenant meeting at Vernon Acres. She had mentioned to me.
Very good. Is there something that as a board we can do that supervisors don't go over there and speak on their behalf and thinking people think it's the board or trustees or whatever? Is there something to safeguard against that?
Somebody doing that?
Yes.
Put them, send them to jail.
Well, it's not actually technically illegal.
Anybody want to weigh in on that?
I mean, you could discourage it as another board member, but I mean, they can have guests over there. I mean, if a resident asks them to come over, there's nothing we can really do about that.
Mary, you're not talking about anything. I mean, what's being shared is either personal opinion or public knowledge, I'm assuming. You're muted.
What is being shared from what I'm understanding from residents is that this person on the trustees is going over there after meetings and meeting on their own with people and telling them their feelings. And it's very confusing for elderly to begin with, let alone hearing mixed messages.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine there's anything we can do technically to prevent that kind of thing other than make sure that staff have all the information that they need to be able to answer those kinds of questions as they come up. But we can't control supervisors meeting with individual citizens.
Okay, good said.
Want to continue?
Continue.
Okay. The other thing that we've been very involved in recently is open enrollment. We did have open enrollment from November 6th through the 13th. We held open enrollment meetings on the 7th for different locations where employees could come and listen to all of our insurance information. We did do a passive open enrollment, which passive means that employees only needed to fill out enrollment forms or do anything with their insurance if they were making changes. So if they were going to continue things as is, there wasn't anything they needed to do unless they were changing their flexible spending, because that is a calendar year coverage plan. So that ended yesterday. So now we're just moving forward with updating those individuals. And so that's about it with the insurance. Like we mentioned, the neighborhood family clinic balance, as of it, this is actually as of 10/4. There hasn't been a bill entered since the last meeting. It remains at 56,174 that we have paid out. We did budget for 75,000 for 2024. So we're right in line with that. We've had 5 new hires since the last meeting, and then we've had 23 separations of employment since the last meeting. You will see that a lot of those are on-call positions. They are also some Vernon Manor employees that have decided to not go forward with BSJ and just ended employment prior to the 1st of December.
Can I ask a quick question backing up to the neighborhood clinic?
Yes.
It looks like we'll probably come in under the 75,000 unless these last 2 months are kind of crazy, but what happens to that amount that we've budgeted for that doesn't get spent? Just gets rolled back in?
It just stays in the general fund.
Okay.
As uncommitted. Yep.
Okay.
We did budget 75,000 in 2025.
Gotcha.
Anything else? I'll keep going. Current employee count as of November 14th is 398 employees, 243 full-time, 19 part-time benefited, 48 part-time, and then 88 that are that limited part-time on call. So as of next month, next meeting, those numbers will obviously change drastically with Vernon Manor, Vernon Acres no longer being on that count. Also listed the current open positions that we currently have open. So I do still have Vernon Manor, Vernon Acres. We are still assisting BSJ with recruiting. In case anyone is coming to our website to look for positions, they're still able to apply, and we are forwarding those positions on to BSJ.
So we lose the health insurance and all that for the ones over there also, correct? I mean, that's,
You mean it comes off our books, you mean?
yeah, it comes off our
Correct.
books. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So we'll no longer be paying in their portion of WRS, Social Security, health insurance, like wages.
Didn't you have a number on that whole thing?
That's what I was going to ask for, but that seems like you're not going to have that in front of you, but you know.
Yeah, and it's
not all of
really,
them,
I mean,
not all of them have insurance, and some have different levels.
yeah, and it's not like we as the county that those expenses just go away. You know, those, because it's still, there's still operational expenses there. Payroll's still an operational expense there, but it's managed by BSJ. So like, while we're getting the revenue and those expenses are going into that joint account, it's not like a $3 million liability just went away. It's still there. Yeah.
Coming out
it's
of
just
a different account.
Yeah. Yeah. It's managed differently.
We're not writing a check. Somebody else is writing the check.
That is correct. That's the plan.
Okay,
Any questions from the HR department?
good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
IT is Connor here.
Yeah.
Guy Connor, you got 4 minutes. Tell us what you know.
You have that timer set up?
I was going to say, you want to come on the end? Keep it open.
That's just me.
Let's keep it down.
Okay, then.
Oh, yes.
Try and check your mustache.
There's raisins in this, that might help. Those are healthy.
Sorry, I hadn't opened.
You got 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
Time is ticking. I was looking up on the wall here.
Waiting for his favorite word of brief.
Breach.
Breach.
Alrighty.
I might put them away. No, that's.
Help desk report for the month of October. We had 349 tickets open in the month of October. It was an uptick from what we saw in September at 286 and still pretty substantial uptick from what we saw in 2023 at 234. Just have a lot of projects on the docket right now and working through a number of items there, not necessarily attributed to one such incident or thing. Help desk by category, 72.8% of those tickets were software related, 7.4% were hardware related, 5.9 were phone related, 10.7 were employment, and 3.3 were uncategorized. At Zero Office moves and Zero Office creations in the month of October. Help desk health meter is in good standing. The metrics are a little skewed here because we are meeting on the 14th of the month and I ran this report yesterday. So usually we're meeting the first few days of the month, but we have all but 7 tickets that were open in October closed out here on the 14th day of December, which leaves us with 97.9% closed, 2.1 open. Help desk help meter is in great standing.
Great.
So we have 58 out of our 60 devices on the replacement cycle replaced. So 2 left to knock out the remainder of the year.
You're way ahead of where you were like last year at this time, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
making good progress there.
Great.
Unfortunately, though, we had an uptick in failed phishing attempts in October. 16 failed phishing attempts. The month prior, we had 5, so that was our record month. Unfortunately, we did not maintain that pattern. Reported, we had 313 of those stimulated phishing attempts reported, and we sent out 954, which is a slight uptick prior to other months. October was Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so we try to make everyone a little bit more aware and vigilant.
When we think we're being phished, do you want us to report or you just want us to ignore it?
Either or.
Yeah, either or.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as the important thing is you recognize that it's a phishing attempt.
They look so interesting though.
You can fish it and you can get that satisfaction that you reported it. Otherwise, if you delete it or ignore it, that is also just fine.
If we report it as phishing and it's not, do you let us know that or?
We sure do. Yeah.
Okay, then that'd be one way of finding out if I should open it, right?
Yeah. We let you know. And it's also, if it's not a stimulated phishing attempt and you report it, it's better for the organization because we also, we're brought to that attention and hone in on that.
Okay.
And then we can take actions to further block that or rip it out of everyone's inbox as well.
Yeah, because some of these, I mean, you're sending out some, but there are external attempts as well.
Yeah.
And so if we report them, that clues you into potentially sources and whatnot.
Yeah. And just for fun this month, I got these reports.
Just for fun.
So in October, we held non-stimulated phishing attempts. We held out of users' inboxes 6,926 emails that were sent maliciously, that were actual malicious emails that did not get delivered to users' inboxes. And then we took action on, roughly 2,000 other emails that had malicious traits to them, but we still allowed them as deliverable emails, such as locking the links, moving them to the junk folder, converting the attachment to something other than, the attachment that was originally sent. And then, again, just for fun, here's like 3 examples of phishing attempts that are real that we held from users' inboxes. Of course, I wasn't going to print out all 7,000, but that's just 3 fun ones.
Jerry's name.
And so presumably, I mean, you took action on 2,000 and some. There were 6,000 more that just automatic categorically, but then some get through.
Yeah,
And that's where our reporting helps out. Right?
And yes, we can't filter every single last one. We try to keep those strainer holes as tight as possible, but inevitably a few will come through, and that's why we need to
with a phishing problem.
have that level of awareness. Failures by location, you can see depicted up here, but in a smorgasbord of where people clicked in the month of October.
I was going to say 4 in attic.
Who's Vernon County? Just when you say Vernon County like that.
Yeah, I'm also not sure about that. Sure, I gotta investigate why that one is not categorized under a building.
And VCSO,
Vernon County Sheriff's Office. It's that one.
but
there's a sheriff.
2 sheriff's office.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we should read those as similar, same?
Yes.
Okay.
Same.
I still think we need a badge of shame for the board members.
Looks like one board member. David, was that you?
No. It's an imposter.
Look at it.
Smart as a horse.
And then mail flow in October. Again, October was pretty heavy mail flow in the malicious category month.
4 people in
We
there.
had all of the numbers in red were what we saw at higher metrics than the month prior. So we have 903 suspicious links that were higher than the month prior. So suspicious attachments were significantly lower, but everything else was an uptick. And then 0 devices out for repair at the current time, and our system up in the month of October sat at 98.4. That is all I have for help desk.
Any phone problems? Are there?
Today,
Yeah, we had a blip today. Yeah. But that was due to
Phone spots?
an external, our internet service provider had some equipment issues, so we're working through that. We did fail over to our failover internet for some time, so that was good for continuity there, but still working to address that to resolve that in the future. October was cyber awareness month, cybersecurity awareness month. So we are now in November, but that doesn't mean to be less cyber aware than we were in October. We sent out quite a few weekly emails to remind staff good practices to keep cyber hygiene up to date and cyber awareness. And we also sent out a fun little phishing attempt on Halloween as well, that we did receive a number of failures to. So cybersecurity awareness is never takes a holiday.
I heard some feedback on that on Halloween.
Still working on our next gen 911 projects. It's a long-standing item there, and it will continue to be quite a challenging effort to push forward and see project close on that, but working diligently, and there's just simply a lot of involved parties there. Our website redesign is seeing great progress, and we hope to be done with that at the end of this month. We'll have a internal website committee meeting next week and show the internal committee on the progress of the website at that time. And then shortly after that, we should be closing out on the major and minor changes on our redesign of the county website. We'll open that then up to internal staff to start to parse through their content on the pages and ensure that everything looks and feels accordingly prior to go live. And we still plan to go live with the website the first of the year. Likewise, the project that sits in tandem with that is our transition from our .org to our .gov domains. We have done a lot of the pre-aliasing on that, so addressing can be routed using our .gov domains today, but over the next few weeks, we'll start to transition those services over to .gov addresses, so your emails will change to VernonCountyWI.gov. When you send out emails, that's what people will receive. In the next few weeks, we'll communicate that out before we migrate that. And then a few other account changes and whatnot. Your full accounts will be used as the primary .gov domain. And then after that point, it'll be post-aliased back to our .org for a short duration to ensure that continuity, but hoping that all services can cut cleanly over on the first of the year, that we're operating with the new website and the .gov domain simultaneously in 25.
Will that, when you talk about switching the email in like a week or so, because now if I'm at home and I try logging in, if I use the .gov, it doesn't recognize, but it will after this?
It will, yeah. Those are the few final phases we have in that transition. And those are, bigger lifts because it touches all the staff. So we'll be working diligently on that over the next few weeks here.
There's a lot of places that you use your email to get logged into or get access to, and that's going to all have to transition somehow.
Yeah. Luckily, services that are held, externally, it's essentially just an email attribute or a username, and that continuity will continue to maintain. But as the previous email stated, it's much better to be proactive and switch those accounts to .gov now rather than be reactive when they become nullified and then try to get access to those accounts. So move all of those accounts to .gov leisurely but proactively. And when we do cut the .org addressing and remove that post-aliasing at some point next year, you should be in a good spot at that point. Still working on broadband projects and the BEAD grant. PSC has had some delays in their process, their statements, their evaluation periods. And so we're, as Vernon County, have extended our endorsement period as a local government body as well to endorse those BEAD applications out. So we plan to receive those endorsement requests and review those. And those will be going through committee and board as well upon receival. Otherwise, standard order of business, been busy with BSJ work as well, and a few other big items as far as technology, innovations and AI, new operating systems, and what's on the docket for 25, but I'm going to keep up with all the moving pieces there.
You wrapping up?
I'm wrapping up, Dave.
Any questions for Connor? You are very valuable to Vernon County. I just want you to know that I joke about you a little bit, but thanks for staying.
I appreciate it.
Okay. You went over your 4 minutes, but
That diminishes, I suppose.
okay. Building and facilities.
Back up.
Yeah,
One more.
Connor has another item.
Oh, you said you were wrapped up.
Well, on that
Well,
one,
on
I'll
that
just,
agenda.
number 2.
Pardon me.
This next agenda item refers to the Teams recording and the recording of our publicly accessible meetings. It's been kind of a reoccurring item on the agenda here. We've worked through different proposals, different approaches to doing so. This one that I'm presenting today here would be the most cost-effective, as well as maintaining that transparency that the committee wanted to seek when setting out to record these publicly accessible meetings. The quote that you have in front of you is for $1,000. It's $1,000 annual charge. It's to increase our production storage by the allotted amount that we calculated in order to make this feasible. And we would pull those recordings. We would host that on YouTube as discussed, I think last month or the month prior to that. YouTube doesn't incur any cost for the county on that. It would just be a hosting platform. And then we would link that out to the website with an unlisted URL, essentially an embedded link to the website there that would be hosted on YouTube, if approved.
So this is a quote just for the storage space required for.
Correct.
Okay. And we're talking about, obviously we're talking about video files, not audio files, right? We're talking
Video
about,
files. Yeah, whatever the viewers or online would be seeing.
uh-huh.
Did they determine who was going to do this? The lift, who's going to be recording and putting them on?
So Connor and I, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Connor and I talked about this yesterday, and so the intent would be that whoever's hosting the meeting, so like today for Gen Gov, I'm hosting the meeting, it's my responsibility to record it. And then, whether we do like just a regular cadence where when we have the meetings or we communicate them, and then from there, IT takes over and does the actual, posting to YouTube and the website.
Do you imagine that part of things, the internal administration of things being a significant time commitment?
I estimate probably 15, 20 minutes a meeting.
Okay.
So not significant, but if
Something
adds up.
Yeah. Right.
The host is actually doing the recording right now anyway, correct? I mean, that's.
No, we don't record our meetings right now.
Right.
So we would just have it set up. So when I start the meeting, I record the meeting.
And would that recording automatically be transmitting to that storage space? There's no.
Yeah, there's essentially 3 buckets,
Right.
to make this feasible.
Yep.
You host a meeting on Teams. The host of the meeting has to go up to that, the ellipses or the more icon, record the meeting. Once that is done, once the recording is stopped, the host can stop the recording at any time or end the meeting. That would, in essence, stop the recording as well. It would automatically be moved into this recording folder that we have set up for the organization. Once that is done, we'll work on an internal process flow and communicate that if approved. But we would pull the recording from that internal recordings folder, upload that to YouTube, and then post the link on our website. So, that's where you get the 20 minutes of workflow there from the IT perspective. But from a meeting host perspective, it's, two clicks of a button.
Right. I keep asking questions.
Certainly.
Okay. The recording, the actual, the host of the meeting, obviously there would need to be just kind of not training per se, but reminder to,
Yeah.
because that's not a default option, I'm assuming.
They can set up the meetings, I believe, when they set up the Teams link to automatically record, but that would have to be,
Every time you set up a meeting,
yeah.
they'd have to select that as an
to be
option.
a task that they would
Right.
set up.
I'm at every
or-
meeting too.
But it might be preferable to do it in the meeting itself.
Yeah, me and Cassie and, I mulled that over too. And I think the best way to do it was probably to create a public meeting host checklist.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
sure chat's enabled, make sure do not disturb is on, make sure the meeting's recorded.
Yeah.
Check.
Can
So
you,
forth.
in the meeting, like pause the recording? Like I'm thinking about closed session.
Okay.
So how does that, is that what you're going to ask to? Or do we just stop the recording?
You can
at
in
closed
Zoom.
session?
You can
Yeah.
pause in Zoom. I don't know about Teams, but
Yeah,
We'll have to look
Um,
into that.
we can pilot that and test it,
Okay.
but you can certainly stop the recording and then restart it, and it would just be 2 segments that we could, thread into the YouTube video essentially. Or I believe when you go into closed session, Teams, the proper term for it is their breakout rooms.
Yeah.
When you go into a breakout room, whatever room, I believe you can set the recording to, not record or pause during those breakout sessions, but certainly pilot that before we go live with it.
So then we would ask that we start this in January to give us time to get that process flow down and the education out to the staff that are going to be doing the recording. And then as far as the cost, we were talking yesterday, and there are definitely costs that were built into the IT budget that with Vernon Manor, Vernon Acres, we won't necessarily need. So we do believe we can absorb that $1,000 in the IT budget for 2025.
And just to clarify, talking about extra storage, it doesn't seem like a lot of extra storage. So can you just clarify what exactly is being stored? Because this is radically different than what we were
Yes.
talking about earlier with 7 years of video archives and,
Certainly, yeah. The way that we have this structured is the way to make it the most economical for the county.
Yep.
And the most user-friendly for the hosts of the meeting without, bundling different softwares or solutions to record such meetings. This is native with Teams. It would go into a separate, production repository, which that's the storage you would be paying for. And then we would pull that storage or the content to YouTube, and YouTube would be the long-term retention area. So we wouldn't be backing this up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be sitting in production for month over month, maybe potentially, 60 days, but and
So
that's
this is
factored in there.
this is just a holding space. It's not like an archive or
Correct.
anything. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And, I guess I would be remiss to then underscore that, we're at the mercy of
Yeah.
the repository that we're putting this data in.
Right,
And,
right.
I've gone through YouTube's terms and conditions with line by line.
Fun.
And the 2 lines that significantly, speak to this is, and I put this in my own terms to delegalize it, but YouTube may change their terms of service at any time and may lay claim to any upload content as their own. They could decide to remove videos that are not accessed within a certain duration. But there is no historical precedence to doing so. YouTube also down samples your videos when you upload them. So if you rely solely on them for your storage, you'll never get the full resolution if you were to download that video once again. I mean, that's how they make their overhead costs palatable as well.
Right.
So when this thing gets going and, Jim Smith wants to know what happened in general government 3 months ago, he'll just go on YouTube and it'll be there.
You go on our website.
You would
right?
go on our website where we have, where we have the minutes and agendas, there'd be another one that says video.
Because it won't be publicly searchable on YouTube.
Okay.
Unless the committee so desires to do so, but I think to have it in this central repository on the website where you have the minutes and agenda and the
Yeah.
videos would be the most clean and simplified area.
Yeah, I'd agree.
We don't need any action from us, then, huh?
Approved.
Which, we got the money.
Yeah, the money, but.
It's kind of a policy
the
thing.
policy.
Right.
We're gonna start
Okay with it?
recording it January.
I would make a motion that we begin electronic recording of Teams meetings January 1st, 2025.
What he said.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. I'm not gonna ask you again if you're done.
That is all done, Dave. No.
It's like, if kudos to Connor on this agenda item. We've been talking about
Yeah.
this for a few months, a way to make this work that's, still budget friendly and accessible to the public. And I think we found a route that is gonna work very well. So
Yeah.
thank you, Connor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
I come prepared to fight this thing tooth and nail.
Now we got buildings and facilities.
It's Bill here.
Hey, the clerk, treasurer, register of deeds office, safety improvements just about done. I'm just waiting on the glass installation. We've heard we had some front door issues with some electrics. We should get that remedied by next meeting unless the price far outweighs what I anticipate it to be. I kind of put the school church paint thing on hold till spring, just because of the weather and time of year. I was hoping to have the emergency government building plans today. No such luck. They're pending. Should be done soon. If we get them, the draft plans, and we get them, and he should associate with the draft plans an estimate on cost. If cost is under what we talked about in the past, I need to know if we want to wait for a committee review to approve, or if I can just start soliciting some RFPs to get a true price that we know, to speed up the process. Still potentially, the draft plans will still need state approval. That can take up to who knows how many days, 30 at a minimum. The engineer assured me when his plans go to the state, they will get approved. But if we wanted to put the cart before the horse, try to get something done sooner than later. Otherwise, if it doesn't happen quickly, it'll be a spring build. There'll be no way to get it done this year.
What did we approve?
Now, I was hoping one of you guys remember.
My
50, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought that we said as long as it was going to come in under, they thought it was going to come in under that number, we weren't going to bring the plans back to the committee again. We were just going to put it out for proposal.
Just get the
Get the RFP. I just wanted to clarify for my own peace of mind.
That included all the extras too, so that can't be the whole building.
Right.
Right.
Well, whatever the minutes said, but if it came in under that, if your estimates are coming in under that, put it out for bids.
Last but not least, say the winter transition's pretty much good to go. Everything's turned over to heat. Don't have any foreseeable issues that we know of. With the BSJ Vernon Manor thing, we're transitioning that with staff. We're going to be fine with staff. Should be good to go. All I got. I made 4 minutes today. Just want to point that out.
How about this engineer position? Are we going to go out and start requesting?
Being the board voted to approve the budget, we'll start that process.
I was wondering what BSJ taking over. Are they taking over maintenance of the building and janitorial and lawn mowing? And I mean, is there going to be extra labor available in that area or?
Yeah, they'll employ their own maintenance people. And so, like Travis, that is currently their maintenance guy, he's going to stay a BSJ employee.
He's going to still, okay, all right.
Yeah. They'll have to hire. I think they're planning on hiring one more then because Rick is going to stay our employee.
The helper that we supplied, he's staying with us.
Okay.
And he, like they're going to take care of their own lawn mowing and basically sidewalks. We'll take care of for snowplow, we'll take care of the parking lots. because it's just a small area in transition with what we already do. We already have the pickup and the snow plow and that sort of thing. One thing we're going to do with that, we have some spare spray equipment. When we did a change the way we do things at the highway, I've got my highway guy looking to modify that and put it into the buildings facilities pickup. So we can do some test areas instead of pouring salt on and sand on. It gets tracked into the buildings using the brine, and spraying the parking lots and spraying the sidewalks and stuff. Try that. Maybe eliminate some of the maintenance issues.
Yeah.
That's a daily chore after a storm, trying to keep the hallways clean, so on and so forth, and lessen our salt use.
Whoever thought of that idea should get a rate.
We're recording this, right?
Yeah.
I just want buddy, help me out here. So,
Dave, Mary Henry has her hand up.
Mary?
I think I was wondering, when we were talking about painting the old St. Mary's Church school building on that historical site, it was brought up too to check with the Amish. And then Cassie, you were gonna check out something like, can we employ them or not employ them? It keeps coming up and I didn't know what the exact findings were with this whole insurance thing.
Yeah, I don't have an answer on that yet, Mary.
Okay.
It's on my list though.
You've had such a short list. I can't believe you didn't find one. And that is a joke, kidding.
Okay, there will be no more of that, Mary. Okay, thank you. Then legal policy, we don't have.
You skipped.
there is an item that you brought up that you wanted on the agenda, which is
You asked
there.
for.
That's fine.
Oh,
Turn the page there. Oh, you got the page turn?
that was 2 months ago, though.
Was
Well, we put it on just in case you weren't here.
4
we can
minutes,
Talk
Dave.
about it.
When the world was off.
You got 4 minutes. Dave.
Oh, I was approached by a farmer in Vernon County that farms about 3,000 acres, and he was upset about us talking about leasing land out for solar. He thought it should go back to for sale and sell to farmers and let it be farmland, but we've kind of given up on solar now anyway.
At this venture, I mean, we're still looking at it with the budget done, and Cassie and I and finance work together. Everybody works together to find a capital improvement plan. That's when we'll address the possibility of putting solar on the buildings, when we have a way to pay for it. We've got some prices on it. With the budget, there's no way we can afford it unless we do capital planning for it, so there'll be more to come that years, maybe next year down the road. But that's where we kind of tabled it. As far as doing a solar farm, we kind of tanked that idea right now and figured we'd start small.
You can, she wanted to know some ideas to bring, and we said transportation, and put on there to make governments eligible for these rebates and stuff like private people are. Because without being eligible for the rebates and all that stuff like that they do for solar, it's just not feasible
Not at all.
to put it in. So
we looked into this when I was at the town and they quoted us and we were eligible for
Yeah.
those rebates.
I think in
Yeah.
that quote you
Yeah,
got.
we were getting, I don't know if it equals what a private person
Yeah.
gets,
Right.
but we were getting some type of rebates.
Yeah.
To help with the payoff, but still, I can't remember
Yeah, I
what the
don't
payoff was
care.
long-term. Can't remember the year
Right.
it was, but
Yeah.
But you still have to have the upfront money,
right.
which we don't have at this time. So.
Right.
So you're prepping a place out there to plant trees from seeds, right?
I'm not. Nick is. Rented by the Sheriff's Department, Erlinson Building. That's the tree planting area.
In terms of acres, how much do you think that is? 4?
4 or 5, somewhere in there. It kind of goes down around the old laundry, kind of just that area up top. Well, hopefully it works. I'll be dead and gone, but it'll be a nice windbreak for that north wind that swings into the Erlinson Building there. So,
Pretty depressing there.
well, that's our option, Dave. Okay, if we're done on that, then if we're not going to do nothing in the East Farm, I'm done.
Good, great. Thanks for coming. Drive careful.
Appreciate your time.
Legal, nothing there.
Well, Nikki's online actually. She's still.
Yeah. Hey guys. No, I don't have any updates other than I am working and available to the county. I am obviously working remote. I plan on returning to kind of a hybrid in-person and remote for December, and back in full action in January. But as far as substantive legal updates, it's really just status quo, and I'm here for questions if you've got any.
I have a question. Can you like hold the baby up just a little bit more so we can see him? Because I can see the top of his head. Oh, thank you. What a cutie.
Got red hair.
You're muted again, Nikki.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Reed. He was born October 25. All is healthy and well. So we're doing great.
Awesome.
It's a Halloween baby. Congratulations, there, Nikki.
Congratulations. Beautiful.
Okay, then it's up to our administrator to take over.
4 minutes, right?
Yep.
I'll try. Okay, so one of the things that we talked about at county board when we approved the management agreement with BSJ is what is our board of trustees structure going to look like. I did have Nikki review the state statutes in relation to this. Would still have to be elected by the county board, anywhere from 3 to 9 members. As you know, it will be more of an advisory committee. The intent is, bless you, 4 times a year. The one thing that we did find is that the state statutes say that those terms expire in January. We currently treat them like they expire in April. So.
It's not going to be an appointed committee though, no?
No, per statute, it would still need to be elected. There are 2 terms that are up in 2025, and that would be Supervisor Mueller and Supervisor Walliser.
Can Nikki clarify, contrary to statute, since we're doing it in April and have done it in April, can we continue to do it in April?
I wouldn't recommend it.
So how have we managed to do it all these years in April if we're supposed to be in January?
Historical precedent, I don't know. It doesn't mean it was right. It means that it was fine. We got by with it. It's one of those things, right, where like, so what if we don't? What happens? Maybe nothing bad, but let's probably still follow statute.
That's my favorite legal advice yet. So what?
That's mine.
I like that.
Well, I know, and I get it, but I got to at least tell you guys what the law says to do here.
I only raise the point because this is when you're reorganizing in April and you have every member serving on one elected committee. And if you're going to do one committee in January and the rest in April, you're going to cause issues with.
Well, to be clear, you can do the organizational planning and it's anticipated that you do so at the annual meetings, but those staggered terms are kick in January, not April. Does that make sense?
Oh, sure. You're going to plan that far ahead. Say later.
Well, that's what the statute anticipates.
What's that, Lauren?
You won't even know who's going to be on the board
Well,
in some cases.
And I was going to just point out, there's nothing that I read in this statute, Nikki, correct me if I'm wrong, that requires that board of trustees to have any county board members on it.
That's correct.
So if that's the case, and if it is an advisory body going forward, the terms of the agreement with BSJ will always be subject to review and approval by the full board. And, just throwing it out there, there's a possibility that exists that there are citizens that are on the board of trustees, but that, us as supervisors, not necessarily.
Is it a 1-year term? Wallace, or you just got on an 8?
Staggered 3-year terms.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
But he was filling a term.
Yeah.
So that, when one board member gets off, you appoint them, but you appoint them to fill that term,
Right.
not for a new 3-year term.
Cool.
There are plenty of advisory committees within the board right now that are primarily citizens. Maybe there's one board member and a bunch of citizen members. We can incorporate some sort of reporting and communication component so that there's still a link to the board, and I'm not advocating for that. I'm just throwing it out there as legally allowable.
You recommending that?
No?
Nope.
Advocate and recommend are synonyms.
Synonym? Okay, anybody else have a perspective? Oh, Lauren, you always got something to say.
Speechless.
Charlie?
I guess my only comment is if you eliminate the county board members from that, then you're not gonna have every elected supervisor on the committee,
I know, that's what I was thinking,
which,
and with 19 positions, in January, who's going to want to give up a seat to go to another seat? It would just be a big shuffle.
Of course, prior to having 19, when you had 29,
was
We
gonna
had
say,
plenty of,
you didn't have everybody on an elected committee.
Right.
You just had a limitation that you could only serve on one
Exactly.
elected committee.
yeah.
So there were plenty of people that weren't on an elected committee prior to going to 19 seats.
Right.
but speaking for somebody relatively new, it's nice to be put on a committee. I mean, at least you start to see the structure and how things work and how things move, where if you aren't, all you show up for is county board meetings, I think you miss out on a lot.
You do.
Well, getting a little bit farther down the rabbit hole, we could restructure the remaining 3 elected committees too to
Can we? I don't know what the rule
Well,
on that.
I think them are all by statute. I know highway is. I don't know.
I know for sure.
Yeah.
so we couldn't increase the size of them.
Human Services, I think, has rules, infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which ones are elected.
Infrastructure doesn't have rules, but highway being infrastructure has rules.
Right.
We could look, that might be an option.
And I think most of we've got some, like say, some committees, but I think there's always the intent to have a majority of board members on these committees when we set them up.
Well, this one would be advisory, so that's you could
Advisory would be different.
step away from that
Yeah.
because there's no spending authority in an advisory.
And that would leave, that would leave 2 board members sitting in the cold, not sitting in the cold, but like Charlie says,
3.
not involved.
There's 3, yeah.
3, okay, 3, yeah.
But there are 3 other committees, and if they could be enlarged to accommodate 1 additional board member.
So
Something we're thinking about.
So it'll still be an elected committee.
Don't look at me.
You could make infrastructure 7 instead of 5, maybe, right? That's 2. Now you'd have 1 more to appeal somewhere.
But yes, it would still be elected. In the statutes, it says chosen by ballot by the county board.
Right.
So
I personally think we still have to have county board supervisors on it because we know that there's going to be maintenance that has to be done, and that county board supervisor can help bridge that over to the county board. So I strongly feel that we still need county board supervisors on it.
We could do a hybrid of like what Jerry said with
Both.
And then
Yes.
the board rules, you can only serve on 1 elected committee with exception of
This advisory committee.
with the exception of this advisory committee.
Because that's the other thing, talking about leaving supervisors out in the cold, not being on an elected committee. If the reality is that, it's an advisory body that meets every quarter, it's functionally like you're not on an elected committee in the same way anyway,
I can see that development because that's
So,
and then whether you're going to run for reelection or not run for reelection, if your term ends in January, it's not really going to make any difference because you'll be on that committee even after your elected term ends. And we wouldn't have this interruption all the time of people getting on and off the board to be on that board and serving out the remainder of terms.
Well, then it's settled.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of good discussion. That's what I think. And that this isn't ready for decision yet, but there's some more research to do.
Is there a maximum or minimum on highway? Is it a 5 or is it a 7 or doesn't it say?
There's no
number on that.
Iowa County's got 9 or 11.
Okay.
has to be an odd number, right?
Yeah.
Is what's the other elected? Is land and water or
Yeah, conservation, education, and human services and veterans services.
and veterans?
Yeah. So human services
Oh, human
together.
services, veterans, yeah.
And then
Land and water, and then highway and
infrastructure. Yeah.
We'll continue the discussion in December.
I'll hold it over.
That's a good plan.
Okay.
But I think we should clarify statutory requirements for those other three committees to understand if there are limits on increasing their size.
Okay.
I think that's a workable thing that
Yeah.
still satisfy everybody and still be on committees and
Right.
still be the last. I always feel sorry for that last person that gets elected to that last spot on the committee.
Yeah, we could work on this together. Like on the
Yeah.
playground,
Yeah.
nobody picks you for the back with a proposal.
He throws like a girl.
Oh, really? It's really.
Well, Trisha can outthrow me, I'm pretty sure.
Cassie and I will report back to you next month.
Cool. Great.
And I'm opting to forego my report since I just reported to the board 2 days ago.
Well,
Motion to adjourn.
well,
Is that good?
yes, then we can adjourn. If somebody make a motion to adjourn,
I do.
second it.
But it,
Everyone in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye, opposed, same sign. And adjourn.
Died, so that